Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. Happy 4th day of Inkvent. This is going to be a much better day hopefully than yesterday because I did not have any spoilers. I was just in such a really bad mood from seeing it spoiled by surprise before like day 3 had even begun, and then guys, my anxiety went through the roof as I was filming, coupled with my frustration at still not being 100% knowing how to do perfect overhead tripod shots. But now today is a new day. We'll see what color and type of ink number 4 is. It's by this little snow person over here. I'm just not a person who likes, spoilers at all. I mean, I have no problem with like do whatever you want with your own Inkvent calendar, but just have the the courtesy to, like, if you're doing it a month in advance on YouTube, spoiler in the title or hide them in the comments on Facebook, or do the spoiler tag hiding it on Reddit. Just like, let other people, keep their fun surprise if they're old-fashioned like I am and want to be surprised the day. So let's just see what number 4 is going to be. This is brownish smoky tobacco. So that's, yeah, that is definitely going to be a brown. I wonder if that's going to be a shimmering or a sheening ink. This is a scented ink. Oh, wow, an ink that smells like tobacco. That's going to be a very, very different experience. I've never smoked cigarettes, although I have smoked hookah a number of times. It really tastes good. There's like barely any nicotine in it. It's like, I guess, much healthier than regular tobacco. So you guys won't be able to smell it through the camera, but I'll tell you guys what it smells like. What, tobacco scented ink? That is a completely new ballpark. So I will see you when I set up my overhead shot on the other side of my desk. That definitely does have a smoky tobacco scent. I said I'd never, smoked cigarettes or a pipe or a cigar or anything like that, only hookah. But, well, at least I've, been past the tobacco store in the Stuyvesant Plaza in Albany, New York. That definitely also very much looks like smoky tobacco. I possibly need an extension for this tripod to pull it up even farther. This is the farthest, the highest up I could manage to get it, and I know it's not as close up and in focus as when I've had the arm like downwards, but this at least ensures everything will stay in the frame instead of part of the notebook being out of the frame by humiliating surprise, or just, oh, I have to keep moving it in and out to make sure it's totally in the frame. But this is a whole work in progress for me, a big learning experience. This is definitely, I wouldn't say it's like a darker brown ink, maybe on that portal gateway between light and medium, and I can see like yellowish undertones, maybe yellowish green a little bit. I'm not really familiar with tobacco at all, but this definitely does give the look of, smoky tobacco. Is that like a Christmas or a winter thing for Brits? Because, Diamine is a British company. Wow, I was not expecting a tobacco themed ink at all. I think I got some ink on my tripod arm, but whatever, at least it's only ink and it's not a pigment ink like yesterday. This is awkward. I'm like swatching with my arm hooked around the tripod on my left. It's a whole learning experience for me, and I hopefully will continue becoming more and more confident the more I do these overhead videos. I can't believe they made a tobacco themed ink. This is like a new one. I can't think of, off the top of my head, any other inks that I've ever, heard of themed after tobacco. That's definitely, coming out nice and thick. This is a very, very wet ink, at least on the dip pen. Smoky tobacco. There are 2 C's in tobacco. Yeah, sometimes dip pens write a little bit, or not a little bit, a lot bit broad when you're just, starting out with them. That definitely is a very, very dark brown on the dip pen. I'm worried, don't want to pull it too much out of frame because I can't see what's going on ahead of me. Diamine Inkvent 2025. Inkvent 2025. I don't think that's going to fit all line. They haven't been fitting all on one line. I have to, like, you know, smash it together. I know what Inkvent is. 2025 day 4. Yep, that's definitely, it's a scent. It's a very, very distinctive scent. Do a little bit of a swatch up at the top. I know some people on YouTube that I've, you know, been watching and subscribing to, they do different types of things. Like they do little droplets and then push against them with like a glass or like a vial. Those things, little ink samples come in, or sometimes they'll use a plastic spoon or a little piece of plastic. I'll have to experiment to see which I personally, you know, prefer doing. A few droplets here and there. Don't want to get, like, you know, too much. That was a huge mistake before. Just enough, you know, droplets to get, it's not it's not coming out. Maybe it doesn't, there's nothing left in there. So, and then I see people just like pushing, you know, against it with, you know, plastic. Do I have anything I could do, like they do something kind of, this isn't really perfect, but this is what I've seen people doing. Theirs looks so much nicer than this, but again, this is an entirely new kind of swatching experience for me. Maybe I used too much, or I'm not doing the right method of doing the whatever they, like, it looks like a Rorschach blot kind of, and then there's like way too much stuff up at the corners. So I guess they like press it down more like this. It's, you know, life is about learning, even though this looks kind of, more than kind of messy. Now it's getting up on the other pages, so maybe I shouldn't have tried that, but, you know, nothing ventured, nothing gained, and it definitely looks very much like tobacco. I pulled the camera in a little bit closer. I'm not sure how some people do it. They just seem to say, oh, now I'll zoom you in, and like instantaneously, no evidence of jump cuts I'm seeing. We're, you know, zoomed in much closer. So I don't know if there's some kind of external monitor or app system they're using, or there's some kind of, you know, remote control. You can, you know, instantaneously zoom in on your camera or what. I'll have to, you know, investigate that a little bit further. Diamine. Yeah, this definitely, I sound like a broken record. It very much looks like, you know, tobacco leaves, or, you know, smashed up tobacco. Diamine Inkvent 2025. Yeah, it's always kind of like a little awkward to write with a dip pen. Oh, this is a bit longer than the ink muddler. Inkvent 2025 teal edition. As I said yesterday in the portion of the video that was not recorded when I thought it was, and that humiliated me so much. I must have been Japanese in at least one previous life, because I take so seriously, you know, embarrassment and humiliation. But, you know, as I said, I write cursive probably like 98% or so of the time, and the few times I do use print, it always seems to end up some kind of like a hybrid of print and cursive, except of course when you have to use print on like official documents. Teal edition. This is smoky tobacco. Write that in large font, or maybe not. Yeah, I don't have to write in very, very large letters if I don't want to. I just, you know, like using up as much space as possible in these notebooks, because one of my idiosyncrasies, quirks. This is scented. You might, I don't have much experience with scented inks, but I really, really love the Forest Gâteau from last year's Inkvent. That's definitely on my list for getting a full bottle of eventually when I run out of the little sample. And I will do a longer rating sample. And I think, yeah, maybe I could put this in my I'm all mixed up, my Benu Dream Bean Talisman. Yeah, I'm really not used to filming overhead when I can't see exactly what's in frame, but I will, you know, of course, pull you guys in a lot closer when I, you know, finish up with the writing sample. So, you know, this, you can see, kind of has some like yellowy and orangey and greenish shimmers in it, but mostly brown and black, a perfect match. So I will see you guys in the next segment. there's my completed writing sample. I had a really good time writing with this ink. It seems really well behaved, smooth, wet, well flowing, a little bit of shading going on. This is the, I don't know if it's like dried yet, but you know, the swatch card, and I decided to pull out some of my brown inks to compare it to. This is Macasar from Diamine, which is a very, sorry about that, the tripod is shaking, a very dark brown, not really so much of a good match for it. And then there's Chestnut Brown from Pannonia. That, not quite similar, but they do definitely have, you know, some things in common. I really enjoyed writing with that as well, like recently. Coffee Break from Colorverse. I mean, they're in the brown family, not quite similar, but yeah, that looks like a really good match, although not quite the same. But, you know, inks can't be, you know, 100% similar, even when they look like, oh, this looks like a dupe, but there are little subtle differences you can tell. Lee Day Tay from Jacques Herbin. I always mispronounce that. My French pronunciation isn't particularly good, so those are like really good matches. With an, oh, again, Brown Sugar from Monte Verde. That's a much darker brown than the Smoky Tobacco, but, you know, I've really gotten a lot more into, you know, brown inks over this like past year or so. So yeah, A+ for originality. I would totally, you know, consider getting this. And oh, that's just for fun. I decided to fill out the rest of the space with like a quote from one of my vintage ads. It's like one of those ads, like, what were they thinking in the old days? That would never fly these days. It's like Ronald Reagan advertising cigarettes as Christmas presents for your friends. I'm gonna put in an insert of that. Like, you have to see that one to believe it, like, seriously. So anyway, thank you guys very much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow for day 5, which hopefully will not be spoiled like 3 was. That was just a really bad day. Again, thanks for watching, and see you tomorrow. Bye.